Justice.
For the sake of consistency, I'm going to say this right now. I do not particularly care that we've won that match. I wouldn't have cared if we'd have lost. I'm not particularly fussed that we won, because all that matters from that game of football is that that was not a game of football. That is one of the worst officiated matches I have ever seen in my life. And all that should be talked about from this game is the standard of refereeing in that football match. And people are going to say, oh, well, you're going to blah, 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 and Arsenal fans are not happy. I'm going to start by saying this. Andy Madley was the referee for the Newcastle-Tottenham game, or the Tottenham-Newcastle game last week, where he didn't give the handball on Joelinton, which you cannot convince me that that was not handball from Joelinton that directly led to the Newcastle goal. The same Andy Madley who then 5 minutes later, A, gave a handball that wasn't a handball from Dan Burn, and B, didn't give him a second yellow card because he'd given handball. And then thirdly in that match, didn't give Tottenham a penalty after Kulusevski nearly broke Anthony Gordon's nose with a clear shoulder to the face. That is the referee that got put in charge of this football match. This football match was an FA Cup match, knockout football, between two of the most bitter rivals in English football history. And he had an absolute disaster. And it was for both teams. As a Manchester United fan, I think it was more in favour of Arsenal than it was in favour of us. But I will look through this with some sort of neutral lens as well. There are Arsenal fans that want Rasmus Højlund sent off for an elbow to Saliba's face. I said at the time, if we score this, it's going to be controversial because I think Højlund elbowed Saliba. There are going to be Arsenal fans that want Garnacho sent off for throat-chopping Kai Havertz after Havertz and Ugarte went head-to-head. To be fair, I can understand that point of reasoning as well. But the amount of stuff that went against Manchester United in that match is absolutely disgraceful. And like I say, FA Cup, knockout football, Manchester United, Arsenal, this referee was blowing every 30 seconds for the most pitiful dives from Arsenal players I have ever seen. And again, he was giving them in favour of Manchester United on times as well, just nowhere near as many as he gave to Arsenal when they had the ball. And the amount of yellow cards and how we were receiving the yellow cards is a disgrace as well. Honestly, I don't even think Dalot should be booked for the combination of the two fouls. The first foul is never a yellow card. He's just not got to the ball. He trips up Lewis Skelly. Lewis Skelly wasn't getting it to that ball anyway. So he's not broken up a promising attack. It's not a yellow card. The second one, I understand why he's been given a second yellow card. I do. And even if VAR was in effect tonight, which it wasn't, I understand why he gave a second yellow card for the nature of the tackle. But he doesn't make contact with Mikel Merino. I've seen it probably 20, 30 times since it happens. He does not make contact with Mikel Merino. Therefore, it's not a foul. Therefore, it's not a second yellow card. Therefore, it's not a red card. I'm not going to argue it, though, because in real time, when you see it at full speed, it looks a second yellow card. So I understand the second yellow card being given. Dalot is an idiot for flying in like that when he's already on a yellow card, especially since he doesn't get there. So I understand why it's a second yellow card, but under the strict line of the law, it's not a second yellow card because he doesn't make contact. But I'm not going to complain about that. It's just the overall stuff that was given. The Bruno Fernandes, when he got booked. Again, he should have been booked. He shouldn't be throwing his boot around. He actually did it twice. So again, you can make an argument he could have been sent off. And Andy Madley didn't do that. But for Gabriel Jesus to stand on the back of his ankle, right on the edge of the penalty area, with the referee looking right at it and not giving it, is an absolute joke. Especially given all of the ones that were given in favour of Arsenal. Then we have the penalty. Oh my God, are you kidding me? That is one of the worst penalty decisions I've ever seen in my life. He doesn't do anything. They want to complain about the arm being out. I don't think the arm even makes contact. It's like, it's there and he sort of pulls it away. He runs into him. He just dives. It's a flat out dive. And they get a penalty from it. And if VAR was in effect, with the current standing on VAR rules, I'm not convinced they'd have overturned it either. Because there is the slight amount of contact with the arm. So they probably would have stuck with the on-field decision. But, oh my God, how you can tell why VAR is needed. You can clearly tell why VAR is needed. because you cannot have these officials refereeing these games. Arsenal are mad about the offside as well. For me, that is offside. It's not a deliberate attempt from Maguire. It is a deflection. It goes through. He's offside. Goal shouldn't stand. But just both sides will come out of this match with X, Y, and Z to moan about the officiating. And when you have a game of this sort of calibre, with this much stakes, that is not what we should be talking about. But we have to talk about it, because it is the second weekend in a row where Andy Madley has officiated a top-level game, which matters. Premiership last week, FA Cup this week between two of the top Premier League sides, and he has had back-to-back absolute howlers. So that's why, for me, I can't sit here and be really, really happy with the performance, because anything could have happened in that game, and it's all on the officials. It's just all on the officials. In terms of the performance, which I will now mention, I could not be prouder of what those players did in that football match. To a man, again, everyone has to hold their head up high, because we were right under it. From all that officiating stuff, being down to 10 men for half the match, which it was when you include the extra time period, to get in there, to fight, to concede straight after the red card, keep fighting, keep scrapping, force the penalty shootout, and then win the penalty shootout. Bayandir saving a penalty along the way as well. Outstanding from Manchester United. And I sat here at the end of the Liverpool game and said, I would pick the exact same team, tell them to do the exact same thing, and let's see if we can do it in back-to-back matches. And they did it in back-to-back matches. I know Ahmad couldn't start because he had a little bit of a knock during the week. I know it was Bayandir in goal instead of Onana. But to a man, well done to every single one of those Manchester United players. And I'm going to single out four in the end in particular. But the three outfield players I'm going to single out. Matthias de Ligt, who for the third or fourth week running has looked absolutely immense. I know he was at fault for the Liverpool ones, but he was brilliant today, and that clearance off the line, absolutely incredible. Kobbie Mainoo, again, now that he's getting a run in the side, now that he's playing every week, now he's getting that partnership with Ugarte. Some of his movement, his skill, his dribbling. Don't forget, he was outnumbered again in that midfield today, and he still looked absolute class. But the standout player for me, the absolute player of the match, and I know they gave it to Bayandir, and I will get to Bayandir, but the player of the match was Harry Maguire, who has, in my opinion, done enough to earn the captaincy back. I still don't rate Bruno as a captain. I've said it all season long. We saw it again today with the strop that he had after the Gabriel Jesus incident. That is not leadership. What I saw from Harry Maguire today, what I saw from Harry Maguire last week against Liverpool, is a leader that I'm happy to put my hat on. He organised that defence. Every time that ball went clear, it was Maguire's voice. You could hear it. You could actually hear it over the television coverage. Maguire saying up and out and push. And he was commanding that team. We've got a back five, and he is commanding it from the middle of that pitch. I don't know how many clearances he made, how many blocks he made, how many headers clear he got. Harry Maguire was absolutely immense today, and he did not put a foot wrong. I don't care if his rating gets knocked down because he gave away a penalty, because that was never a penalty in your life. Harry Maguire was immense, and he deserves the captain's armband back. And I'm not going to say they should do it. Well, sorry, I am going to say they should do it. I don't think they will do it. But he was absolutely outstanding today. And then finally, we do have to talk about the goalkeeper, who was very, very shaky against Spurs. And let's be real, he was very shaky at times today as well. His distribution left an awful lot to be desired. I counted at least 10 times that he took a free kick or a goal kick straight out for a throw-in. Not all of them were his fault. There are a couple that bounced because Xerxes and Højlund were backing in. It bounced and then went over and went out. But it went out a lot of times from Bayandir today. And he was at fault for the goal. And that shouldn't be ignored, because he was coming out for those crosses. He was not getting the most convincing punches on them. And unfortunately, it was one of those weak punches that led to the Arsenal goal. But from that moment onwards, he was fantastic as well. He made some brilliant saves. There was a De Gea-esque Superman save, which I hate those types of saves. Just use your left hand or even catch it. But I understand it. He went the way of it. Brilliant save from Declan Rice. I think he had another one. Was that Rice as well? Where he went in the left-hand channel, shot cross goal, tipped it round the corner brilliantly. And then the two penalty saves that he makes in this football match. The Odegaard one in the match, and the Kai Havertz one in the actual penalty shootout, you watch those penalties again, both of those penalties are going in the side netting, and he still saves them. That is unbelievable goalkeeping, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. But I can't give him player of the match because he was at fault for the goal, and his goal kicks were absolutely horrendous. But speaking of the goal kicks, I really like that for the second game running, okay, it wasn't as extreme as in the Liverpool game, but we were going long. We kept doing all this passing out from the back. I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, and I was worried about it going into the Liverpool game. These passes from Onana out to De Ligt or Onana out to Martinez. Did it a couple of times today. Bayanda out to De Ligt, Bayanda out to Martinez, and it put us under real pressure. We realised 5 minutes in, that wasn't going to happen. So we just hit it long. Okay, we weren't as efficient at getting the second ball back today as we were against Liverpool. But we're not putting ourselves under unnecessary pressure. And that's good management from Ruben Amorim. We've got tall forwards. We've got Højlund. We've got Xerxes. When Collier came on, he was a target for those long balls. I don't mind that. Why everyone has it in their heads that we have to play this tiki-taka football and we all have to be like Pep's Man City and play... No, absolutely not. Get the ball up the pitch and put the pressure on them. Don't invite pressure on yourself. Use the tools you've got available to them. Get it up to your big forwards. If they don't win it, the ball's dropping down to Bruno, Mainu and Ugarte. I'd much rather them get the ball facing forwards where even if they don't win it, they can make a forward-looking tackle, rather than the ball going out wide to Martinez and De Ligt, them getting hounded, and then we have to make a risky pass into Ugarte, Mainu and Bruno with their back to goal where they could then lose it. Just doesn't make sense for the players that we've got. So I have to give Ruben Amorim credit for that. I have to give credit to every single Manchester United player today for getting through all of the nonsense that was thrown at us by Andy Madley and the officiating team. Outstanding. 10 men away to Arsenal. The FA Cup holders are through. The golden ball will continue into the next round of the FA Cup. But my final point that I think is worth making is for the second game running, we've played against a team that has gone at us. And, okay, we've come out of it with 2 draws and obviously a win in a penalty shootout. But now we've got Southampton at home and the momentum will switch. We're now going to be the side that has the more possession. We're now going to be the side that's going to be the dominant. We can't look for the sit-back counter-attack because that's what they're going to be doing. So the question is now, how do we break down? Okay, it's Southampton. It's the worst team in the league. But we have to prove that we can do it now against the lower sides. Because we've proven we have a method that works against the top sides. We've beat City. We drew with Liverpool. We've drawn with Arsenal with 10 men and beaten them on penalties. Now comes the actual test. Can we go and beat a side that's going to play like that against us? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you very soon.